Your attention, please. Attention, please. Attention, please.
And now the moment we've been waiting for is here.
Alexei, welcome to the poddy, mate.
Mate, it's a fucking pleasure to be here.
You know what, mate, we've spoken about doing podcasts for probably, genuinely, I've known you for two and a bit years now, and we've been speaking about this. I was like, you know, fuck it, we got to just go and get one done.
It's a cool moment. We'll look back at this in 3 years when it's gone nowhere since the first
Yeah.
episode and reminisce.
Yeah, like remember when we took that afternoon off to, you know, go and record a podcast and no one watched it? Yeah, it'd be good.
No, Bianca will.
Yeah, Bianca will.
Your mum might.
My nan would definitely will.
I'll take that.
Yeah, my nan definitely will.
3 more than 0.
That's true. That's very, very true. How's your day been, mate? Everything going well? Coaching this morning?
Yep, good day. Pretty straightforward. PTs in the morning, 5:30 start as per, all the way to lunchtime, and then picked you up. Now I'm here, 3 meals down.
Mate, honestly, life has been bending me over this past week. Like, it's been really, really bending me over. Just to give context to the 3 people who will watch this. So, car got unregistered. Registration on the car got cancelled. Had to take it for a roadworthy. Yeah, right, take it for the roadworthy. There's another fucking $250 straight away. It was fine. Get a call later that day. Failed the roadworthy. And so now I've got no car for a while. So I do appreciate you picking me up. I appreciate it.
feel like
I felt like a little teenager. I was like, can you come and pick me up, please?
a lot of those things tend to happen to you, not me.
No, that's true. You're really good at staying out of trouble, to be fair.
It's not by choice. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it. I think it's because you're less eccentric than me, I think.
Just don't buy lemons. for
Yeah,
cars.
that's true. That's true.
Just do
I don't know. You've only had your car for what now, a year?
No, not even. Bought my
You
car.
just wait.
start of the year.
You just wait.
It's already, actually, to be fair, in the last week, like 2 or 3 headlights have gone.
Yeah, there you go. It's
Had to get a new timing belt, so...
there you go. I don't want to
it's
hear
not all
it.
bad.
Give it another year.
I just don't complain. as much.
Actually, you just don't tell me
Yeah.
about it. Fair enough.
Yep.
To give a bit of context to people, so you and I met at the famous Fitness First.
We did.
It was big. And I remember, so I started at Fitness First. I just moved over from the UK. And I remember speaking to Kane, who was our PT manager back then. He was like, oh, you and Alexei are going to really, really get on. You guys will be great friends. He trains, he does jiu-jitsu. You guys will get on. I'm like, all right. And I'm a big fucking Labrador.
Yeah.
I come up to you and go, oh, Alexei, I've heard you and I are going to be friends, I think. And you just went, excuse me. I remember just melting him up like going, oh, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I've actually, since you've brought that up, because I think you brought it up recently, I think I've been reflecting on it. I think I've done that to a few people where I don't know what it is. I think I'm just lazy with meeting new people and I just kind of don't put any effort in because I just assume everyone's just not someone I want to be friends with. And then I think same with Coach Dylan, to be honest. I feel like I wasn't rude, but just like didn't make an effort.
Yeah.
And now I train with him all the time. So I've learned from that.
It was funny, mate. I absolutely melted on the spot. I was like, oh, okay, all right. And then I slowly wore you down. Wore you down.
I feel like as a PT, especially when you're a new PT, anyone new's like a threat to your business, maybe. So maybe there's a little bit of that.
You know what I would say? I think I used to listen to a lot of famous coaches talking about their early days in PT. And they would say exactly that the gym environment they were going into was really hostile. People were stealing clients. People were like calling clients. And I was so happy that when I started at Vic Gardens, everyone was really cool. Because I'm not going to lie, if I'd gone into an environment where everyone was just arseholes and stealing leads and stealing clients and just being like that, I'm not sure I would have lasted in it for that long because I would have just been like, fuck these guys are wankers, I can't be arsed. Yeah. So everyone was so nice. And I think we were really lucky with that whole group of PTs who are all our mates now. Like everyone was so cool. And I think that's quite lucky. Because imagine how many coaches will start in a gym where it's quite toxic and then they just don't like it. I think about how many coaches we knew that came and gone in that space of time.
Yeah, I think our gym's definitely unique to that compared to the other Fitness First that I've heard of. Like we had, 8 trainers at best.
Yeah.
Probably 6 that were like stable.
Yeah, that's true.
Amongst a pretty like busy gym versus other ones where there's like 40 gyms. You can't have to be a shark, otherwise you're literally going to get no clients.
Well, that's what I've heard about some of the gyms in Sydney is that there's like 45 PTs.
Bondi, I went to Bondi over New Year's like a couple of years ago and it was like at least 40 plus.
That's mad.
In one gym that was smaller than Vic Gardens.
That's terrifying.
Absolutely.
I don't know how you run a business. Like I literally don't know how you would run a business in that.
It'd be exhausting. I tried to do a workout and like not one thing that I planned to do was free.
Was that Fitness First in Bondi?
Bondi Junction. Crazy.
It's quite a famous one, isn't it?
It's probably their flagship store. Is that what it's called? Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. It's funny, so I'm going to reverse 5 years ago. So 5 years, I'm 29 now. nearly hitting
Getting
the
on.
big, yeah, nearly hitting the big 3-0.
Fuck.
I know, but 29 now, and 5 years ago, I was living and working in America, and I wrote down in my little journal. I'm a journaler. I love journaling. I like writing down things, and I wrote down that I would do a European summer whilst living in Australia, running my own business. That was 5 years ago. This year was the first year I did it.
That's sick.
It was a little bit more stressful. In reality, it was probably a little bit more stressful than I anticipated.
You did the Europe bit.
The Europe bit went fine, yeah. But I think then coming back and just having life, it'll just hit you square in the face. But yeah, so
Yeah, that is sick.
I think sometimes when I'm here and I'm coaching and I'm living in Melbourne, living in Australia, seeing family, and I sometimes forget like how far you've come in a bit of a small town sometimes, which is quite cool.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. What even caused you to come to Australia?
Oh man, funny story. So my mum, when she was like maybe at my age, she lived in Australia for 2 years, and she had me and went back home.
Whereabouts?
She lived in Bondi. She lived
there you
literally
go.
on Bondi. Yeah. So
Wow.
she
Told you about the weather?
Yeah, tell me about the beach. Like she used to say that she'd go to the beach in the morning, take a frozen bottle of water, and just camp out all day, sunbathe, chill, read a book, whatever. This was maybe like 28, 30 years ago, and over 30 years ago, crazy. But yeah, so she used to tell me these amazing stories from Australia, and I'd done America, and then when COVID happened, I kind of found myself in this weird predicament where I'd been living in the States for like 7 years. I was back home in the UK, and then I was like, fuck it, let's go to Australia, let's do it. And then my mate Oscar, who's like one of my really good mates now, you've met him, he called me, and he was like, right, there's a football team in Melbourne, they need a centre-back, do you fancy it?
He was already in Melbourne.
Yeah, well, he was actually living in London. He's Australian,
Oh,
but
right.
he was living in London at the time and like sending players over to Australia. And he basically called me and was like, "Look, there's this opportunity. Do you want to do it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've got to do it." At the time, I did have an American girlfriend, so that went down, as you can imagine, like an absolute shit sandwich.
Moving halfway across the world.
Yeah, and we were already doing long distance at the time.
So you made it longer.
Yeah, I was like, that 7-hour time difference we currently have? How about 18?
Literally.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so that was 2.5 years ago. Moved over here and then moved straight to Melbourne, didn't know anyone. And then so I moved here in March. By June is when you and I would have met. And then I would have started coaching in June of 22.
So you just wanted to move out of England, not necessarily Australia. And then
It's not even necessarily, well, you have to think, so like, I'm like a cat. I've had like 9 lives. So like when grew up in the UK until 18, 19, and then at 19 I got offered to go on a football scholarship to America. So then I lived in America for like 7 years. Like literally did my whole
Boston.
in Atlanta first for 5 years, down southeast, which was unbelievable. You'd have loved it. It was really cool. So I lived down there for like 5 years, and then I had something called OPT, which is like a work experience. You get your degree and then you get given OPT for 1 year, which is like a 1-year work visa. So then I moved up to Boston, got recruited to go work up there in sales at the time, and then did that, and then I got an extension of that visa, and then COVID hit and it just made the job unbearable. And I remember just thinking, I can't be fucked for this. Like, I just can't be fucked. So then that takes us to like what, 2020? Yeah, we're in 24 now. So that was 2020. Went home for a year, 21. And at the end of 21, going into 22, that's when I got the call saying, do you want to come over? And I was like, fuck it. Let's go.
Seemed
Let's
like
go.
a spontaneous kind of person.
Yeah, for sure. But also I knew that realistically where I'm from in the UK, like I know you're not going to build a healthy PT business there. And that's just not going to happen. So I was like, right, well, where could we go instead? And I knew that Australia is arguably the health capital of the world, I'd say. Here is everybody. Bear in mind, we live in Melbourne, right? And Melbourne, I would say, especially north side of Melbourne, is edgier, artsy, quite like a bit darker, grungier. Everyone's still running and being healthy and stuff like that. You don't really get that in the UK.
Yeah. Okay.
So the health and fitness culture here in Australia is like second to none. I do think it can get a little bit toxic at times.
Go on.
Well, it's like the run club thing, right? I've been to
Yeah,
run clubs. It's like who can be a competition. It's like it sometimes becomes a competition of who can.
Wake up earlier on a Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. That is what a run club is. Like who can wake up the earliest and post on their Instagram story that they got up. So and this actually, you and I went up to Gold Coast last year, which was, I love Gold Coast. We went to Burleigh Heads, and we would get out at like 5:30 in the morning to go for a nice walk. I didn't expect to see anyone.
Yeah, we thought we'd be early bird gets the worm, and there's toddlers already out on the beach before us.
Coffee shops are open. People and like toddlers are out, and I remember thinking, I'm like, oh, this is like a part of the lifestyle here. Is that like if you're not out bed early, it's almost like it's kind of frowned upon to not do that.
100%. So when you moved, I assume you expected the weather to be like elite, right? Especially after your mum's experience in Bondi, I'm sure.
Yeah, Melbourne wasn't what I expected at all.
How far off?
A million miles. About as far away as it can imagine.
I still think it's not as bad as you expect, as you say, but...
What did I do? I gave it a 2 out of 10 on my Instagram story and you got mad at me. What was it? What did you say?
I think you said... Oh, what was it?
It was
you always said it was like a 3 out of 10 or something,
like,
and then I'd send you a photo every day it's sunny and say 3 out of 10.
Yeah.
But I honestly think the last year's been worse than ever. But that could be just recency bias.
But and you know the thing is that being in Atlanta especially, Atlanta was like very stable, blue skies most days, and like 20 degrees to 25 degrees, and in the summers it was like really hot. So I did that for like, let's say 4.5 years, which was just chef's kiss.
So your standards are high.
Standards high. Then go to Boston, and then Boston it's fucking like a grumpy girlfriend. You never know what you're gonna get. Like, so there's like some days where I'm digging my car out of snow, and then there's other days where it's like 35 degrees, and it was just so extreme. So I knew that like Boston was really temperamental. I knew that like down south in America was really thing. So then when I moved over to Australia, I was like, this will be gonna be cushy. And to be fair, I will say that Melbourne summers are like the best. I think Melbourne in the summer is the best city in the world. I think it's unbelievable.
Why?
You got everything. You got absolutely everything. You
A lot of
got music, sport, culture, restaurants, bars, nightlife, beaches, hikes. You've got everything you want.
Yeah, Melbourne's a sick city.
And it's a sick city. But yeah, so when I moved here in March, right? And I remember getting here on that first week, and I remember going, like, I was in heaven. It was like coffee shops in every corner. There was dogs everywhere, which I love. And I was walking around with my little almond latte or whatever I had, sunny. But then about a week and a half later, like, it just like flipped, and then I remember going, oh my god, and then it was literally into the depths of winter. And when I first moved over here, it was a logistical fucking nightmare.
Tell us about where you were sleeping those first few weeks when you got here. I know you were opening the gym, working at a bar.
So when I moved over here, right, it was crazy because I was running pretty much a full online business at the time. Like, I pretty much had like, I'd say like probably north of 15 online clients paying me a decent amount. Because I basically spent that last whole year working just purely online. But then I remember saying, right, well, you need to get in-person coaching experience. I kind of knew what I was doing around the gym. I was like, you need to get in-person coaching experience. So I was like, right, I'll come over, I'll run my in-person, and then I'll get a job in a gym, I'll run my face-to-face, and I'll be Gucci. And essentially what happened is when I got over here, I quickly realised that there was a rental crisis in Melbourne. So as I landed, everyone had left the city pre-COVID because no one wanted to be in a city. The week I landed, pretty much Melbourne opened its doors back up. So every apartment I was going to see had like 35 people already waiting outside. So I'd rock up and be like, oh, hey, like, we're here for the apartments inspection. They're like, oh, yeah, right, we'll just fill in the application. There's about 45 people already in front of you. And then people were like bidding over the rental amount. So you'd be bidding on apartments and they were shitholes, mate. Like, they were not nice places. So the football team I was playing for at the time, they gave me they basically said, look, we'll pay for like a hostel for you. Or it was like, dog, mate. It was so bad. They're like, we'll pay for a hostel for you, but as soon as you get an apartment, we'll just sort it out, which is fine. And about 6 weeks in, they then came knocking on my door. Basically, the coach called me and was like, hey, man, we can't keep paying you your weekly salary and then paying the hotel. Like, you're probably on double the amount of everyone here. They're like, we can't afford it. And they're like, you need to find somewhere. And at that time, we couldn't find anywhere. Like, I was going for like 3 viewings a day, could not find anywhere. And then what happened is then our landlord called us. She was like, hey, you can take our place. You've been accepted on the application, but you can't move in for another 2 weeks. So then for 2 weeks, we were completely homeless. The hostel wouldn't let us stay there. The apartment wouldn't let us move in. So I said to the football club, I was like, look, we've got nowhere to go. And they're like, no worries. You can just sleep on the club room floor on air beds.
God, that's grim.
And I was like, all right, well, like, how's that going to work out, like, logistically? And they're like, well, that was in Hume. That's an hour outside the city. I didn't have a car. So we were schlepping on a train outside. And at the time, I just started at Fitness First, and I was opening the gym up at, like, 5:36 in the morning. So I had to get from Hume, which is northern suburbs.
I literally have never heard of that.
That's how
far it is.
Yeah, you don't want to go. It's not great. Anyway, so it's miles away, and then we used to have to get a train every morning. I had to get to the gym, open the gym up in the morning. I'd work all day, and then I'd either go to football training afterwards, and I'd be fucking knackered, or then I'd go to my bar job, where I had a bar job to get a bit of cash in hand type thing, and I'd work in a bar in the evenings. And I did that for like a while. I did that for a good 2 weeks. So like where every morning I was schlepping into the city, and then I was
What are you
having
saying? Schlepping.
schlepping,
What's that?
like foot schlepping, like walking.
What? I've never heard that.
Maybe like a phrase me and my mates made up, but
Schlepping.
yeah. But yeah, it was a nightmare, man. It was logistically a nightmare. So we were on airbeds. It's one of those moments I want to look back on my camera roll and find some pictures, because there'll be some pictures of us.
It's literally like Jeff Bezos in his first, like, or like Bill Gates in their first garage.
Yeah, literally. So like we're on these airbeds and
quite
these
the same.
clubs. Yeah, probably not the same. I hope it's that. I hope it's that. But it was a nightmare. And then eventually we moved into our apartment then, and that's when kind of life calmed down a little bit then. So that was like a good 8 to 12 weeks doing that.
That's crazy. I respect that heaps. I could not do that. No,
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough, and I was stressed. As
There's just no guarantees of anything.
No, and that's what was really stressful. And the worst part is that I was running an online business at the time. So I'll be honest, my service just went completely out the window. Like it was just not a good service. And I think clients were like, "Oh, you enjoying Australia? It looks like the dream." And I'm like, "Yeah, it looks fucking."
Just sleeping 4 hours a night.
Yeah, literally. I'm like, I remember my bags under my eyes were a nightmare. Another thing that happened as well is that when I moved over here, I couldn't start coaching. I could only start working in the gym.
That's what I remember, yeah.
Because my qualifications hadn't been transferred over from the UK system yet, so they wouldn't accept me when I was active. So Kane and the guys at Fitness First were like, "Yeah, sorry, we can't. Belinda? Yeah, Belinda was like, "You're just gonna have to work at the front desk." And I was like, "Fuck." It was just not. It was tough. It was tough. Funny though.
No, you made it through.
All part of the story.
100%.
I know. I don't know. How long were you there for in the end?
Fitness First.
Yeah.
Be two and a half, maybe just under 2.5 years.
Killed it. Turned up.
I think that's a good amount of time to be, big commercial gym.
I love
before
your
moving on.
story. I think your story's cool.
I don't have one.
You have, of course, you do.
Of what? Of what?
I think that you were doing a marketing degree, and then you were working in. I think you. I can't picture you. I know you now. I can't picture you working in IKEA. Yeah, I can't picture it. That's not that long ago.
No, it's actually crazy. You think it's not that long ago. Yeah, obviously, grew up in Canberra.
Yeah.
Moved to Melbourne 2020, literally like a month before lockdown, which was obviously elite timing. Straight into lockdown, luckily got a job at IKEA, which is just right next door to Fitness First. Spent, I don't know, maybe a year and a half there. We're in the yellow fucking polo. And doing a marketing degree, which I actually think about this moment all the time. There was just before the end of my degree, I was meant to do like a year internship.
Yeah.
Which would have been like a full paid internship on top of the course. And I got into the final 2 people for this internship and literally got the call. I remember I had a mate over, got the call, didn't get it. Absolutely devastated. But then literally that is the reason I was able to do PT and become a PT, which obviously I'm absolutely loving life at the moment. But I always think back to if that phone call goes another way.
Yeah, if you get that, then you do the internship. You then you don't do the coaching business.
I probably would never have done PT, which is actually insane.
And you'd be making a lot more money now if you were in marketing.
Yeah, happy, successful.
Happy, stable, not stressed.
Parents would respect my job. It'd be elite. No, I actually think I'd be very, 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 very miserable.
That's funny.
But yeah.
Could you picture yourself ever working in like an office situation?
Well, I mean, I have big days working online, and the more I do that, the more I realize I probably don't want to be fully online because, well, at least not in the way that it's like you have to work all day, every day, behind a laptop, because that just I fall asleep.
Well, I think that's what I think a lot of coaches have that dream of getting, build a bit of a following, get online, get a load of online clients, and I think a lot of people want that kind of like Bali digital nomad lifestyle. But then the reality is that, well, if you've got 50 online clients, then you're doing 50 check-ins. Which is just, and especially if you're giving a good service.
I was about to say, if you're doing a good service with a decent amount of clients, it's fucking work.
It's a ridiculous amount of work. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not outrageous, but it's not nothing.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not like you can just work for 3 hours in the morning and then that's your day done.
Yeah.
Well, you could, but you'd be a shit service, as you said.
Yeah. I remember when first meeting you, you looked probably very different than you do now.
Probably like 15 kilos
lighter. I was about
lighter.
to say, because when I first met you, you were in the throes of training ultra marathon. You were running a YouTube channel. I remember the YouTube channel was decent. You were doing an ultra. I thought it was decent. I was impressed.
Thank you.
It doesn't take a lot to impress me.
Had a subscriber. Fuck, you killing it.
So you had you were doing training for the ultra and documenting your ultra. You were training BJJ and you're doing a bit of strength work. But how much were you weighing and walking around in that?
Fuck, I was not a big human. I would have been 76 to 77 maybe.
And what are you walking around now?
86, 87, so 10 kilos.
So you're
lighter.
about 10 kilos.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look very different.
I mean,
You used to be a skinny
yeah,
bitch.
it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and I cared about my nutrition quality, but no care about the actual amount. So I'm actually shocked I wasn't doing less than that.
Well, to be fair though, I guess at the time though, like you look at what you were actually built for. You were built for running 100 kilometers, or
Yeah.
whatever it was, and then you were built for doing a bit of jiu-jitsu, and you just finished a bit of footy as well, right?
Yeah, so I was playing footy for like 12 years in Canberra, and then I moved to Melbourne, which is obviously the capital of like AFL. But then I didn't plan on playing, and I really wanted to start jiu-jitsu. So it's kind of like one or the other. I couldn't really fit both in. And then like COVID happened, and all the local AFL leagues were like done for the year. So got into jiu-jitsu a little bit, and then also got into running because like gyms were closed. I had literally 2 6-kilo dumbbells and a 12-kilo kettlebell at home for the lockdown, which obviously couldn't do a whole lot with. So got into running, and like that year I couldn't even do a 3K without stopping.
Oh, you were blowing.
I was terrible. I've never, still to this day, even when I did get really fit for running, I don't think it was ever like a natural gift. Like it was always
you
tough.
used to go out on like 3-hour runs.
Yeah, but it was a fucking slog, and I just felt heavy on my feet. I didn't glide at all.
Oh, really?
But got into running, obviously kind of just like lent on that because it was the only thing I could do, and went from like 3K and then did a 5K, and I was like, then I did 10K. I was like, how the fuck have I just done 10K? Like 10K seemed massive. And then 12K, and then started doing the YouTube, Nick Bear. Massive inspiration of mine, especially back then.
He's cool as fuck. He's cool.
Who like inspired me to do the YouTube channel, and then I signed up for the Melbourne Marathon. That was the end of 2021, probably just after I met you, December 2021.
No, I wasn't even here in 21.
I met you in early 22.
No, like mid 22.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I did the Melbourne Marathon, and then literally that afternoon, I was eating KFC. Like I've had two KFCs in the last like 3 years, and it was after my marathon and ultra. Sitting there, and I was like, fuck it, I'll sign up for an ultra. Signed up straight away. Did for the one in Wilson's Prom, which was like a trail ultra.
Yeah.
And
it looked brutal.
it was like the most savage weather I've ever been in, let alone run. It was like 100k winds, 100 mil of rain, like freezing fucking cold.
What were you doing from a nutrition perspective for something like that?
Not a whole lot. That's what I mean. I didn't really focus on it.
I meant on the day, sorry. So like when you were taking, because when you were doing 100 kilometers over a course of, what's that, 7-8 hours in that kind of terrain?
It took me 10 hours.
10 hours. So 7 was a bit optimistic.
It was slight. Like
Yeah.
I mean, if
It's not slow, but yeah.
it was flat ground, maybe it would have taken. I mean, I did 67k, so
Yeah,
you could probably do that in 7 hours on
Yeah.
road, but it was like
So-
torrential.
What kind of nutrition were you taking for stuff like that? Were you taking a load of gels and bananas and all that?
For the actual day, it was like, I mean, it's a bit while ago now, but plenty of carbs the days prior. That morning, like, my go-to was like muffin, English muffins with like banana, peanut butter, honey. 2 or 3 of them, bananas, Gatorades, and then on the day I like had like lollies. They had like potato chips, fucking pikelets were really good. I don't know why.
You're just carb loading the hell out of
Yeah, but you want to pick stuff that you've trained with that's not going to make you feel too sick.
But I thought, would have thought like things like potato chips and stuff like crisps, that would have very little nutritional
The salt,
value.
though, it's good.
The sodium. That makes sense.
And a lot of the sugary stuff you're having, or the carb stuff, tends to be really sweet. So it's
Yeah.
quite a nice contrast.
That makes sense.
But I remember this. I remember finishing up the ultra, like obviously big effort. My family came down, obviously hungry as hell. Get back to the apartment that my parents booked, and Dad coughed up. I was expecting like, let's order me some pizzas or something.
Yeah.
My dad makes like a pesto pasta with no protein. I'm talking this measly little thing of like spaghetti with just a jar of pesto.
That was dinner. After
One
that.
bowl.
I'd cry. I'd cry.
That's it.
I would ask to be adopted.
Fully
from the family.
malnourished. Like I had no muscle, but I would have lost anything that was left.
Yeah, fair enough.
Couldn't believe it.
Fair enough. So you did that then. So then you went from doing the ultra. I remember meeting you, and I remember, I'm going to blow a bit of smoke up your ass. You were so humble about the whole thing. You're like, oh yeah, I did an ultra the other day. And I was just a bit like, what the fuck's this kid? Like,
I still don't think it's. I mean,
I think that's impressive. You don't think that's impressive?
it's not like a
I guess it depends what you're comparing it to.
not
but if
thriving.
I think it's impressive. I think it's impressive.
Yeah, I think it's a cool thing to say I've done.
Yeah. And just the mental strength to go from like not being a runner not that far before. You could barely run through.
That was cool. Yeah, that was.
Is that
sick.
from 0, which is you running a 3K, is that a year to then doing the ultra?
No, that's a good question. Actually, yeah, probably. So it was probably early 2021. Let's say like March where I started. Did the marathon in December, and then the ultra in May the following year. So maybe a
Crazy,
year.
mate, that is.
It's sick. I mean, it shows that basically anyone can just get fit very
Yeah.
quickly if you actually just have a crack.
You were training with Omnia, were your coaches at the time, weren't they?
That was coaching, for the actual ultra at the end.
But was that a good experience?
Not great. To
Not
be
really.
honest.
No.
I mean, that actually, at the time I didn't know any better, but looking back as a coach now, like the service was average, but
Really?
it was pretty cheap. So
Fair enough. That makes sense.
but like no check-ins.
Was it more so just like they give you the program and the kind of training aspects to be focusing on going into the event?
Yeah, they obviously write out your program. The whole thing they do is obviously hybrid, and that's
Yeah.
kind of what I was pretending to be. And obviously that's Nick Bear. That's why I was into it. But yeah, they do my like strength training, plan in my jiu-jitsu as well, and then obviously the runs. But
I'd be really interested now if you were to take a year to then go from like the kind of hypertrophy bodybuilding you're doing now, and then go right, we're going to go straight back to running. I bet the strength gains you've made from your training now would aid your running so much better.
well, yeah, I always wanted to be jacked when I ran because it looks sick.
Yeah, it looks
but
sick.
it's very hard to do them at the same time. So I think
It's that concurrent training model.
got to
It's kind
get
of-
jacked first, and then it'd be a lot easier to hold on to it.
You look at early days of Nick Bear when he's in his like mid to 20s. He's still like he's essentially a powerlifter.
They started as like powerlifting and
He's
bodybuilding.
strong as fuck.
Yeah,
But
I think that's a much better route. So
Yeah, you
give me
bet-
another couple of years.
So build the strength, and then you'll transition back on the back end to potentially do.
Well, I like the running and having jiu-jitsu and
Yeah.
being a bit more multi-dimensional. So a few more years, get big enough, and then I'd love to not have to track my food every single day. It gets fucking
You
tiring.
are big on that. I have to say, of all the coaches I've probably like been friends with, you are the one who's most dialed in with nutrition from a tracking perspective. Like you're really dialed in with that.
It's just like non-negotiable if you
Yeah,
actually
20
really want to make physique progress.
Yeah, fair enough. So
100%.
your main goal at the moment is just get as jacked as possible. Is that that's the goal?
Basically.
Fair enough. How's that
Yeah.
going?
Pretty good. Had a good build last year, so went from probably 78. To be fair, just quietly, I have probably ran 5 times since that ultra. Like I fully hung up the boots after that. But yeah, got into obviously training as a coach, and then just found an interest in hypertrophy training and put on maybe 8 kilos last year, which was solid.
I was having a bit of a stalk on your Instagram the other day.
Mm.
So I do that late at night when I'm in bed, just scroll
With
through
your dick in your
Instagram.
hands.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Dick in
perfect.
hand. No, but as I was scrolling through, it's actually crazy from when you and I first met. There's a picture of you and I in the gym, and then there's a picture of you and I at jiu-jitsu. We look very different.
In the gym, where?
Is it Fitness First, I think? We were doing a video together or something.
All right.
And then there was another picture of us in mid 22 at Dominance
Mm.
when we were training jiu-jitsu, and we look like children.
Mm.
Like we look so skinny. When you
Yeah.
look very, very like compared to what I know now, like you look so different. Which is the crazy at the time, because at the time I remember thinking, oh, he's a fucking big lad. And then I was looking at you and I'm like, oh shit, he's like
So funny.
completely
I
changed.
don't know if I body dysmorphia or I still feel small as fuck.
That's body dysmorphia.
But I think I am small. Like I'm not. No one looks
It's
at me and goes,
subjective, right?
"Oh wow,
Yeah, but that's subjective, right? It's like, what's big, what's small? You can only really compare.
I'm
to
bigger
yourself.
than I was."
Bigger than you
That's
was.
for sure.
Yeah, so you can't be like, oh, I'm small, because in comparison to where you were, you weren't. You're not small.
But I think if you got the average Joe off the street, and said like,
If you just grabbed an
does this guy lift? They'd be,
I don't know. I think so. I think if they saw you in the gym,
I can take a good photo on Instagram.
Oh,
That's a different
oh,
story.
yeah, with a bit of good lighting.
Oh, 100%. I know my way around a camera.
What's that? What do you drop the
Drag
lighting?
the exposure down.
Yeah, drag the
Yeah,
exposure down.
Yeah,
That's
it's
smart.
Tactics 101.
Yeah, I know. But now we've gone straight in hypertrophy, getting jacked, and now how's your experience going with your coach at the moment?
Yeah, got a new coach. Firstly, previous coach, Jack Hallows, phenomenal coach, great fella. New coach is Kyle Baxter from Prescript, which is like a really sick course for trainers, which I did and then met him through that. His approach is a bit different, but the attention to detail is like second to none, which suits me, I think. I've always been like super interested in shit that's probably not that important.
We call that autism. Right?
Yeah, sick. So he's all over that, which has been super interesting, learning heaps. And I've been working with him since I got back from Europe, which is like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And probably a couple of kilos up, but definitely bigger and stronger than I've ever been.
So it's interesting. I've seen you through these different evolutions. So I saw you at Omnia doing the kind of hybrid concurrent training model. Then you went with Jack, and that was probably when I first saw you go, no, I'm ramping in with nutrition and proper like hypertrophy training. And then when I saw the kind of behind the scenes with Coach Baxter, I was like, oh, he's dialed in. Like, I was really impressed. Honestly, that's probably the most in-depth coaching I've ever seen.
Same.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is like about as dialed in as it gets. Like,
Yeah, it's
talking about like bowel movements and stuff. I was like, oh, that's very interesting. I was like,
Yeah. He's very legit, and he's very on top of very like, as I said, things that would not matter to 99% of the population, but he's obviously takes it very seriously himself. So he does some pretty unique things, which are cool, like a lot of like fasting and things like that.
Yeah. And is he competing himself in bodybuilding, or is that his plan?
I think he's dieting for a show now. Yeah. He's close with Jackson Pios.
The god.
Yeah, and I think
The OG.
I don't know. Maybe they convinced him to do a show, which will be sick, and it makes sense because he's obviously coaching probably a lot of physique athletes or bodybuilding athletes. Maybe me next year.
I think that'd be sick.
I think I'll do it.
I think you will do it. I know what you like, but I know how dialed you're in at the moment. I think you dialed in for a show would be a whole nother level.
That's kind of I mean, I'm not that. I mean, I love a good pose, obviously, if you follow me, but the actual show day itself doesn't. That's not what enticed me. But even seeing like Nick and Kim, obviously the owners of the gym I work at, they're dieting right now, and just like I know it's tough as fuck, but it'd be a really good period. And I remember I did a really short diet at the end of last year, which is like the first diet I've done, and I definitely felt like, well, one, I had a lot more time on my hands because I didn't have to eat as much, but like it flowed into everything else, and I just felt way more focused with work, and because you just have to be so structured and on point, and obviously avoiding a lot more social things, so you got more time to work. So it's a cool thing to try and do, even though it's super hard. It's
almost like that monk mode approach, isn't it? It's like kind of where everything then takes the back seat, and that is now the main mission for the moment, would be purely dialed in for nutrition and training.
100%. So yeah, I think I'll do it once I get some respectable size. So never.
I don't think you're far off. I really don't.
I can end of next year, maybe.
End of next year? That'd be sick. That'd be sick. So do you think? Well, actually, going on to Jackson Pios for a second. So I'll be honest. I'm going to be complete. And you know me. I've never been really big on the bodybuilding world. I was just a bit like, just a bit gay, innit? Like, just a bit like, it's a bit fucking, they're just a bit losers. And then you and I obviously got real close friends, and you're like, dude, get onto this Jackson Pios, get onto him. I was like, all right, we'll see. And then I followed him on Instagram. I was like, yeah, this guy is not me. And for those who don't know, Jackson Pios is like, how do you describe him? Like, how would you? He's like, he's very dialed in. He's a bodybuilder. He does a bunch of things. Bodybuilder, runs his own nutrition company, fashion brand, real estate company as well, I'd say.
I think he's built a few buildings.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
He's just a high-level coach and athlete, I guess.
Yeah, high-level coach, athlete and whatnot. And he's very, very dialed in on his Instagram. And I remember seeing his Instagram, and I was like, yeah, this guy's not for me. He's a bit too full of himself. And then I remember you get me into his YouTube series. And I fucking...
It's unreal.
I sipped on the... What's it called? You sip on the Kool-Aid? I was like, I am full...
we went to the Gold Coast. We spent the whole time inside our apartment watching his YouTube.
Just flexing in the mirror.
Pulling ourselves. Wanking together. Yeah. But yeah, I think I was the same with my approach, like a stance on bodybuilding. Before I got into it, I was like, literally, it's just like, what? It seems so pointless. Yeah. Seems disgusting. But yeah, now that I've done even just a bit of the style of training, no means a bodybuilder, but I think it's like the most pure form of delayed gratification.
More so than jiu-jitsu?
I think so.
Really?
So if you see, like, let's say Chris Bumstead on stage, that physique he's got there for that day is a representation of his habits for the last, like, fucking 20 years. Jiu-jitsu is always, I mean, the high end of any sport is the same thing, but there's still an element of probably luck on the day. Like, you could potentially get a bit of luck. Maybe there's a little bit of luck with, like, I don't know how your digestion is on the day or whatever, but I think every variable is even more controlled. So it's literally like, did you do the work or did you not? I think that's sick.
I love that. And I think we've both kind of got like athletic backgrounds, I think we both really love that kind of delayed gratification. It's just kind of going, this is going to suck for the next 12, 24, 36 months. But if you just get on that train, then it's going to be worth it on the back end.
Literally.
We're going to be worth it on the back end,
Yeah, I always say to clients, like, your physique is like a manifestation of your habits.
I like that.
It's the truth.
Here's a question, obviously, but we're both coaches. And you have definitely gone down that more bodybuilding route at the moment. How is that then communicating those habits, that kind of mindset to your clients? Because I think we both admit we both have pretty general population clients, normal people. You know, they're probably not going to ever get on stage. I know none of my clients are ever going to get on stage. How do you kind of communicate those ideas to them and get that buy-in from them? Because a lot of clients I know are just like, yeah, Dan, I'm right.
Well, yeah, it completely depends on the client. I mean, face-to-face, to be fair, I don't have a whole lot of clients that are like me. I've had a few guys in the past that definitely want to really put in effort to change their physique, but a lot of them are like similar goals, but just smaller, I guess.
Yeah, of course.
So you obviously think about their goals, and I've got clients face to face that are much more just, I want to train. Tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Point at which dumbbell to pick up. So I guess it's case by case. And
do you find that with your online clients, because they have come through your socials, they've bought into more of your like message, your brand and whatnot, they're more dialed in with that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think, well, again, I think if you get a face-to-face lead, especially at like a Fitness First or something, expectations are probably lower as well.
Yeah.
So online, I feel definitely more pressure to get online clients results.
Because it's almost like this is how I live my life, this is what I've been promoting, so, and you've bought into me, so you're going to kind of...
And like face-to-face clients are like the online clients still have to go to do the sessions by themselves. So they're not looking for necessarily, you obviously get accountability with it, but you're not needing as much accountability as someone who's face-to-face.
Yeah, of course.
So you've obviously come to it for another reason. Like if their only reason was like, I want to make sure someone's making sure I train, probably going to go to a face-to-face PT, right? So they've actually come for like a specific result.
Yeah, fair enough. Whereas, that makes sense. That makes sense. How do you see the future of online coaching? Do you think? Because you have to be honest. Like, let's probably say, let's go 4 years ago. When I'm 24, 25. So that's 4 or 5 years ago. I don't think online coaching is as big as it is now.
No,
do you see the future increasing even more?
Yeah, it's growing for sure. I think there's always going to be a place for face-to-face, as we discussed. About probably more than half our client base need face-to-face.
Yeah.
But I think, as you said, like fitness itself is becoming more popular.
Yeah.
It's probably like a trend. So online coaching, for those that are already somewhat accountable and somewhat driven, like online coaching is obviously more affordable. And it's like basically, steering the ship, you'll still obviously do all the work. So, I think as long as that trend continues and obviously people are more health focused, then online coaching will still always be relevant. And it's just becoming better and better, and the software that we use is becoming better and better. The standards are becoming better and better.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think as coaching grows, and you've always said this is that the cream rises to the top, is that the best coaches will always grow the best businesses and become the most popular because they just you have to be better. So the actual coaching services is just getting better as well.
100%.
Even since I started this, like I've been coaching now 2.5, 3, going on 3 years. Like my service from the start to now it's night and day difference.
100%.
It's night and day.
Imagine a decade.
Oh, it's crazy.
It's wicked.
It's crazy.
I wanted to ask you something.
Go on.
This isn't your first podcast, is it?
It's not my first podcast.
People might not think that, or they might think that, but the
As
truth
you can
is,
tell in the studio, this
Bennett's a seasoned podfather.
I like that. So during my quarter life crisis, which happened at 25.
Happens most years.
Happens most days.
I think it happened in the car on the way here.
Happens most Monday mornings. Not the first podcast. So essentially what happened was I left my corporate job and I was like, right, I'm going to go into coaching. And I was like, right, well, I really want to, you know me, I can talk to anyone. Like I love talking to people. I was like, right, I'm going to create this podcast where I just talk to like really interesting people. And I did like first 2 or 3 episodes I did on myself, filmed them on my phone, hooked up microphones, did all that, chopped them on iMovie, put them onto YouTube, and I was like,
what did you talk about?
Oh, it was kind of like I just finished being a collegiate athlete, like a student athlete in America, and I just then worked in like kind of high-end sales. Like I was managing like best part of $20 million. So this is going to sound corny, but like I felt like I was a bit like a high performer, you know what I mean? So I wanted to talk about habits and like manifestation and things like that, and then talk about things that I'd learned kind of going through that journey. So it's first, and I look back on that now and I kind of cringe a little bit. I'm like, what? I don't know what.
It's always, it's a good thing.
But so I did the first 3 episodes on my own, and then from 4, 5, 6, I think I got guests in, and 2 of them actually were really cool. So one of them was my friend who's now running a massive marketing agency. He does really, really well for himself, and him and I did a really good one. And then I was like, right, let's start hitting some big people. So I'm a big reader. So there's a book called The 12-Week Year, which is it's a book about basically how to manage time frames in like corporate environments. It was a New York Times bestseller. And I
back this to the hills.
So the guy was a New York Times bestseller. And what I did was like, I've read the book. I like the book. I'm going to get this guy on my podcast. I had 4 episodes and I had less than 1,000 followers on Instagram. And I was like, right, fuck it, let's just see what happens. So I messaged his assistant, no answer. Called his assistant, got through to her, and then basically said to the assistant on the phone, hey, I really want to book a meeting and a podcast with, is it Nick Groves? I think it's Nick Groves. I think that was his name. I was like, with Nick. And she's like, yeah, that's fine, no worries. What's this in reference to? And I just blagged it. I was just like, well, I run a coaching business and, I've been doing this, X, Y, Z. And I just think it'd be really, really good to interview him. And I basically sold her the dream over the phone. She was like, right, that sounds great.
Talked utter shit.
Yeah, talked utter shit. And she was like, right, yeah, sure, I'll confirm with him. And I didn't really think anything. And about a day later, I got an email from him going, hi, Daniel, we're all confirmed. Podcast next Tuesday. I'll be there.
Did your nuts go into your stomach when you read that email?
Absolutely. It's actually quite a funny and sad story at the same time, because about a week later, so just to give a bit of context, where I'm from in the UK, it's like a little village outside so the Wi-Fi there is horrendous. Like it's really, really bad. And get him on the podcast, we're talking, and I'm on fire, mate. I'm like, one of those days where you're like, oh, I'm Rogan. Like, I'm like on it. And going for about 25 minutes, and then all of a sudden, whole house, full power outage.
Oh.
So Zoom goes, Wi-Fi goes, whole full power outage. I'm running around to my mum, yelling at my mum, "Mum, the power's gone out. I was on a podcast." And she's like, "I don't know what to do. What do you want me to do?" So then it doesn't come on for like 15, 20 minutes. This guy's in America, so I can't just text him or anything. Anyway, it comes back on an hour later. And I emailed him and say, "Hey, we just had a full power outage in our village. Like, I hope you don't mind. Could we try and reschedule this?" And I didn't hear back off him. And I was like, right, that's that gone. Anyway, about a few days later, he emailed me back going, "Hey, completely understand. Let's do it again next week." Anyway, got him back on and I did the podcast episode. And we spoke for maybe, let's say, 45 minutes to like an hour. And anyway, I watched it back and I thought it was absolutely wank. Like
Was it a good flowing conversation?
The first time it was an absolute banger.
It's hard. To be fair, it'd be hard to do a podcast twice because you're trying to
Exactly. You're trying to almost like
listen to it for the first time, but
exactly. And the second time it just was such a flat conversation, and I just
Did you ask the same questions.
Yeah. And I was a bit younger at the time. And I just didn't probably have the experience to do it. Anyway, it completely bombed. And then that was the last ever podcast I did. Didn't even post it. It's got on my laptop somewhere. On my old laptop, it's on there.
Damn.
Which is an absolute bottle job.
Good on you for doing it. That's a huge fucking.
And then
it takes a lot of courage for that.
But you know what? It was one of those things. It was like, I think especially when you're starting your own business, and you'll know this, is when you're starting your own coaching business, social media, whatever you're trying to do, it's like, what's the lowest hanging fruit here? And the amount of time and effort that probably goes into a decent podcast production and trying to get decent guests on and stuff like that, it's actually quite a lot of time. I was like, let's try and actually build a business first before I start trying to do 2-hour episodes with people.
100%. I always think that with like people like Chris Williamson, it'd be, I don't know how many, they put 2 or 3 podcasts out a week. And they're like 2 to 3 hours of high quality conversation, which take research. So
I don't know if this is right, but I do think sometimes when Chris Williamson was getting in his like growth, that kind of 3 to 4 year period of him becoming massive, at the early phases of that, that's like that 2015 to 2019, say, video podcasts weren't as big, I don't think. So he could just do the audio front, and he could just then upload that onto Spotify and YouTube as an audio. And I think now, I don't know if the game's changed so much now that you need to be on video. So now he can obviously afford to do it.
I don't think you need to. You obviously want it for socials, which obviously is a big way to grow it. But I mean, I listen to most podcasts without the video on Spotify.
Yeah, it's probably just an excuse I'm making.
Yeah, but you obviously, if no one knows it, you probably want to be making reels out of it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, so I tried the podcast game and it didn't.
Did he? Do you reckon he searched up your previous 3 episodes before he came on?
I don't know if he did, because I don't think he had a clue.
I think if he did, he wouldn't have come.
That's so true. That's so true. I don't think he knew what I was. And I was like, it was quite cringy because I was trying to act like I was on the same wavelength. I was like, as we're trying to run our businesses. This guy's a New York Times bestseller.
It's like you got 10 clients. Shut up. Oh, that's hilarious.
I was living in my mom's house.
Mom, the power's gone out.
Yeah. Oh, God, it's funny. It's embarrassing or funny. Yeah,
no, that's awesome. Not many people would do that.
I back myself and stuff like that. I do genuinely believe with life, if you want something, like no one's just going to give it you. You've got to go and try and manifest it and go do something about it. That's the way I see it. Enough about me. So you did your European summer.
To a degree.
Yeah, I think you did. So you and I have spoken about coaching business, online businesses, and then we're like, right, and this was your first ever European summer properly where you were still running your coaching business, right?
Well, the first time. That's the third time in Europe, but first time while being a PT.
Be honest, how do you think it went?
The travel and work?
Travel and work, yeah. Because I think a lot of people think that is the dream, and the reality is often quite different.
Yeah, I think it's a lot different if you were going to live in one spot for 6 months. That would be easy.
Yeah.
But I was there for 4 weeks with family for half of it, traveling for the other half. So was able to maintain the business. So obviously do little deliverables, meet client needs, etc. But to actually have time to grow the business, make content.
Yeah, that was hard, right?
Calls and stuff. That was not happening.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do it, you obviously want to be at least a week in each location. and have more structure.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I met you in Amsterdam.
Mm.
What did you think of Amsterdam?
Second time there, not my cup of tea.
I agree.
It's like seems well overrated. See, I doubt anyone from the Netherlands is listening, but I think every city's got more to offer, and we basically went to the smallest part of thing for 2 days, so we can't really judge it based on that. It's like coming to Melbourne and staying in, I don't know, South Bank for 2 days, and that's it. That's all you saw.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, to be fair. But you know what? I would say I'd basically grown up with people going, oh my God, Amsterdam is beautiful. There's these beautiful canals and coffee shops where you can just kind of like... And I got there and I remember thinking, is this it?
Again, caveat. You come off probably a 10-day bender.
3 days.
Yeah.
And just for context, I'm a coach. I'd had my best mate's stag do. Just for a bit of context, I'd had my best mate's stag do and I hadn't slept in 3 days.
Correct. So energy wasn't the highest. I was at the back end of my trip. The weather was shit.
Neither of us had any money.
So it's not like we were there for beautiful weather for a week, and it's a bit different.
You know what blew my mind mostly about Amsterdam was just simply how expensive it is. I'm happy to pay whatever, but when I'm paying €9 a coffee, it's...
Yeah, $14 macchiato Australian.
Oh, is that what it was? $14?
Yeah, Australian, yeah.
Yeah, the $14 macchiato.
For like a shit coffee.
Small as well. It wasn't great.
Not good.
Yeah, it wasn't
You happened to order 2 long blacks.
Yeah, that was $20 or something.
It was literally a night's accommodation.
Yeah, it was literally crazy. You know what? And I remember thinking as well, the staff didn't want us there. I remember just thinking,
we were the only ones in there, and they're still pricks.
Yeah, they're just...
I actually think it's because of your accent.
My accent?
Yeah.
English.
We went with my family in France, we went to a lot of cafes that could obviously hear we were speaking English.
Yeah.
Didn't get a great vibe from them. And then as soon as they found out we're Australian, like they change. Like crazy.
A lot of people don't like English people.
Yeah, I can see why.
I think it's because we tried to take over half the world. I think that's what we tried. Like, we tried to.
But I also think they get groups of like 18-year-olds from
chaps.
England coming over and just getting absolutely written off.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, just wearing fucking bucket hats and
Literally
bum bags.
going into brothels, losing their virginity.
Yeah, that's not.
You should have done that.
I should have done, but I didn't. You were forcing me to.
Yeah.
You're like, you should do that. Why wouldn't you do that?
Why wouldn't you lose your virginity while we're here?
I know. You know what actually blew my mind mostly about Red Light District? People have told me this. How hot the girls were in the wind. It was ridiculous. Like, I was obviously like probably not the pleasantest of like places, but I was walking past going, oh my God, these places, it's like literal supermodels in the window.
Well, it's literally like the more central the street.
Yeah. Obviously,
the more prime the traffic, so better looking people.
I had a friend who, I won't mention his name. I had a friend go and use those services. And he went in with a friend, and the girl made them kiss.
Wait, say that again. He went in with
him and his mate went in.
Mm-hmm.
So
together for the one girl.
For the one girl.
Sick puppies.
sick puppies. sick puppies. But the girl was like, right, like we can do it, but you guys have got to kiss if we're going to do it. And she made them kiss. And that was kind of her way.
So they got to kiss and pay her.
Yeah, so
that's humiliating.
Yeah, it was an hell situation. God. Yeah, it was the worst night of my life. I don't know, but yeah. So we did Amsterdam, and then you came back. Then it was good to be back in routine on the back end when you came back.
Yeah, I think 3 to 4 weeks is a good amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely a routine man, so it's good to get back. And again, same thing when you're big into your training and nutrition, traveling kind of fucks with you.
Yeah, it fucks with you. Like you said though, like. When I go back, I can be in a really good routine with training and stuff because I'm in one place for a certain amount of time. But you are right. If you're bouncing every 10 days or a week to go to a new place, you have no structure.
I had 1 week in Portugal basically by myself, and it was good because it was like work in the morning, eat whatever I want, train every day.
Did you go? Were you like making food, or were you just going out?
No, I was at a hostel in my own room, but no kitchen. So I just went out. But there was like, Honest Greens?
Yeah.
That's elite.
That's sick.
Yeah, so I ate there probably at least 10 times.
They need to bring that over here. I'm surprised they don't.
Yeah, it's really good. But that week was good because I had, a bit of routine. But then back half when I saw you and I was with a mate just before that, it's like, good luck. Probably ate 12 calories.
Next summer, or maybe another summer, we'll go and we'll do Europe again 2.0. We'll go.
Wait till our business is just about to get good and then we'll just leave.
Yeah. When we're feeling really healthy, really in good shape, routines on point, businesses are going really well, then we'll go and just flatline
destroy the
whole thing. Yeah. Just self-sabotage the whole
thing.
Sounds
elite. Okay.
Another thing I wanted to talk to you about, you and I have spoken about this, you and I have spoken about this multiple times, is relationships. Obviously, we're young men in that kind of phase of our life where dating's a big thing. I've known you, and it's actually interesting because we've both known each other at different phases of relationships.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point.
when I met you, you were living with someone, and you had a little dog, you were a dog dad. When you met me, I had a girlfriend of like 4 years. Those crashed and burned.
I can remember literally coming into Fitness First. I think you were sitting on the tables, in the members' lounge, if you call it a lounge, and I came in. I think I told you, and you said, "Oh, me too." I was like, oh, this is perfect.
Yeah, I know. So then we both did for a year, pretty much single, where we did the dating game. I'd say we both dipped our toe into the dating game.
Some more than others.
Hey, I'm
a man that has his needs.
I'm a man that has needs. No, but yeah. So then, but you're officially out of the dating game now. You've found the one. You found the Wahid.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And I was gonna say, what's your thoughts? Apps or no apps for meeting the one?
Well, that's a good question. Didn't meet Bianca on an app, obviously, but a lot of my clients I talk to about their dating probably shouldn't, but I do, and it seems pretty successful. Particularly, I think as you get older, because people take it a bit more seriously, because they're probably looking to actually settle down. Yeah. I think at our age, well, my age,
you're 25 now, 26.
26 now.
I'm in 3 years.
Cracking on to 30. I think, especially me and my housemate, I live with 3 mates. Mm-hmm. 2 of them are single, so we call it the war room, where we basically you airplay your Hinge onto the TV and we all sit on the lounge.
Love that.
So like at our age, it's like I think a lot of people just take the piss with it. Everyone just matches, but no one actually pulls the trigger. But again, the other housemate that's got a girlfriend, they met on Hinge, so it's useful. It's like how could it not be?
Yeah, it's like
connects more people that are single. Literally tells you who's single and keen.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like it's the new watering hole.
Yeah, it's just hard to get people on dates, I think, because there's a lot of competition.
Yeah, I think the competition, especially if you're a good-looking guy or a good-looking girl, you've probably got multiple options, I'd say.
Not a problem for us.
It's a problem for me. No, so the 2 lads who are single, how old are they?
25 and 26.
Yeah, so that's a good age. That's a good age. You're coming back end of the... It's getting a bit more serious. But you are probably right. It's like that sub 24, that's probably not a great tracking time for him. Yeah, well, I think
it's just ego boost for a lot of people. Just get likes and then do nothing with it.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. So you've officially got off it.
Obviously.
Now, yeah. So you're off. You're off.
No, deleted it yesterday.
Yeah, just fine through every now and then. No, but yeah. So you met Bianca at a training conference, right?
Coaching seminar workshop type thing.
Yeah, Mr.
It's like that is a dream for us, pretty much.
How can you ask for something better than that? You meet your girlfriend at a fitness event seminar.
That's your interest and career combined.
Interest and career, and where she's gone to further educate herself. Like, it's not there to fuck about. You're there to literally sit in a room and learn off someone. And then you meet. That's the dream. That is.
I know it's unreal. It's a good story. Yeah.
And I don't know why she chose you. To be honest,
no,
I've thought about this multiple times.
I was pretty keen on it for a while. I remember literally showing the boys her. So to think I'm dating now is fucking mental.
That's cool.
But yeah, it's a very lucky man.
Well, hopefully one day we'll be having the same conversation about myself. Hopefully, we won't hold our breath. But
I mean, you're a catch.
Why? I think I'm a catch.
I just think because you're ADHD, you
think I'm ADHD?
Your eyes are everywhere.
All over the place.
You got a big stomach, big appetite.
I think I'll be honest. When I'm single, I'm very much single. But I'm a great boyfriend.
Let's go 2023.
Yep, that's last year.
Early 2023.
Early 23. So we're walking March.
We've got PT at 5:30. I think I start at 5:30 traditionally. You start at 6.
Yeah.
So when I'm with my first client, you're walking in.
Yep.
You send me. I think it was a Wednesday night or Thursday night. I've got a photo. I'm asleep, obviously, because I've got a job and I'm a professional. And I get a photo of a wine glass from you. Could have been 1 a.m.
Probably, yeah. Sounds about right.
Of course, somehow you just march in at 6 a.m. I've got a long black ready for you. But I think you went maybe on like 4 dates that week.
I'd had a...
Fact check me if I'm wrong.
No, you hit the nail on the head, and I appreciate you bringing it up on the potty. I appreciate you airing it.
That is literally unbelievable.
No, so basically what had happened was I'd basically had this girlfriend for like 4 years in America, and we basically spoke about engagements, and it was like, we thought that it was it, and it crashed and burned. And she was living in LA at the time. She wanted me to move there. I was like, no, I'm pretty settled here in Melbourne. I've got my business up and running. I can't do it. We went our separate ways. And I think my way of self-soothing is to just distract myself. And that comes in the form of everything. Jiu-jitsu, training, coaching, business, and then dating. I think it's my way of making myself feel better. And I think back then, it was just back end early last year. So we were talking about 18 months ago now. I think my way of dealing with it was we just date.
Expensive.
Yeah, I had no money. I had no money left because of how many.
What's the
days.
most you spent on a first date? Honest. Be honest.
Are we talking in one? Because like say a date can go from like say pre-drinks to a restaurant to then
Every
cocktails.
dollar spent that night.
Every dollar spent.
Ubers.
We're talking north of $500. North of probably.
To be fair, that sounds probably astronomical to a lot of people, but that's not hard to do.
Mate,
in this market.
If you do, let's say 2 rounds of drinks.
Cocktails, 20, 25.
Yeah, there you go.
Easy.
So that's to say
$100.
There's $100. You then do a nice dinner,
200.
which is a starter and a main and a drink. Say,
At least 200.
There's $200. Let's say you've got an Uber each way. That's 30. So now what you're at
360.
360,
Probably.
and then you go in cocktails after that.
Yeah.
And also, I think I would say, and I don't know about how you are with this. I have a thing is when after about the 5th or 6th drink, I now think I'm a multimillionaire. And I don't think money is real. So I'm just like tap happy.
Yeah.
And then I'm generous with it. So I'm like, oh, you want to drink it? Do you want to? I'm that idiot.
Yeah.
So I think definitely in my early days, I'm fucking 28. I was 28 at the time. No, but I think, definitely last year when I was trying to make myself feel better, I was going on a lot of dates. And I think my record for the week was 5 in a week.
Yeah.
And it was...
That's unheard of.
It's self-sabotaging.
I could not do that.
But you know what I'd say? Made every single session. Coaching business was going well. And I was in decent shape at the time because I just... You know what? This is also pretty screwed. You've been there through all of my injuries over the last 18 months, but I went through breakup. So basically, I finished half Ironman, competed at jiu-jitsu, blew my shoulder up, went for 8 weeks of rehab for my shoulder, signed for a football team. This is early 2023. Signed for a football team, so I was playing semi-pro football over here. Blew my shoulder up in the first pre-season game again. Full screwed it. Coming off of a breakup, I'm like...
Head's not in a good spot.
The head's not in a great spot. The football team were like, yeah, mate, like if you're the centre-back and we need you starting and your shoulder's popping out of the game, can't handle it. So that's just cost me, over the course of that season, that might have just cost me the best part of 15, 20 grand. Mm-hmm. So then I'm like, fucking, right.
So let's spend the money
let's go on dates. It's not a probably great way of dealing with it. And I think now, it's actually very funny now that I'm still single now, but I've gone about as far the other end of the spectrum. I'm not on any apps. I don't date. I've not drank in a while. Like, I'm happy just to train and work on my business. I think sometimes you kind of self-soothe by doing that kind of stuff, and then down the line you're a bit like,
gets old pretty quick.
Yeah, fair
to be
enough.
fair, in your defense, you're very good at hiding fatigue. If I've had less than 7 hours, I look like shit.
Yeah.
You come in off 4 hours, couple drinks, and you're literally still got somehow this ridiculous energy.
Yeah. You know what? So when I was at university, I was on that football scholarship. So a lot of we'd have really early football training every morning at university. So we were on the pitch at like 5, 6 in the morning. And then in our off season, away from football, we'd then have strength conditioning. That's where I first really got into like training. And we'd be in the gym, 5 a.m. whole team. Mm-hmm. But it's our spring season, so we have no games. So we're just on the piss all the time. Like on the piss all the time. And you can think there's a lot of like expats. There's like English lads, Brazilians, South Americans, Swedish. Like we've got a really international team, really, really cool. So we'd all go out like maybe Tuesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. That would be it. And many, many nights we would all get in. My housemates would get in at 4 in the morning, and we'd be in the weight room for 5 a.m. And I think that breeds a level of athlete, a caliber of being able to hide fatigue. And we would not be allowed to, you couldn't smell like booze because our coach would like kick you out. So you couldn't smell like booze, and you couldn't show any sign of fatigue because you'd be doing sprints and you'd be doing all sorts of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think I did that for at least 2 or 3 years for university, pretty regularly. And I think you kind of build a bit of a tolerance. So doing a 1 a.m. shift when I'm up in the gym at 6 a.m.
That's great. Like I've just never been good at it. If I don't get 8 hours, I'm like,
don't
in
get
my
me
head.
wrong.
Actually, in my defense, again, I've this year I've gotten better at it. Like, I mean, I'd rather sleep more, but
100%.
many nights I've got like 6 or 7, and I kind of just get over it.
But to be fair though, like it's the same though. Like I don't get me wrong, I am a stickler with my sleep. Like I'm in bed by 9:30 most days. I'm up early. Like I'm really on it with my sleep. But I think every now and then, especially back then, it's like, right, I'll just catch it up later in the day.
Me and my housemates were having a laugh about this the other night. We literally are like 4 26-year-olds, sick house, all got full-time jobs, prime of our lives.
Yeah.
Every night of the week, including some weekend nights, lights out, can't hear a thing at 8:45 p.m.
I love it.
It's fucking embarrassing.
I don't think it's embarrassing. I think it is your all then. That's what I love about your friends is that I meet you all and I'm like, oh, these guys are all very similar to mine. Like, good crack. Everyone trains. Everyone does something. Everyone's got a bit about them. I'd probably say with your friends is the people I've met in Melbourne. I go, oh, these people are like, could get on with these people.
Yeah, they're good lads. Yeah.
And then like you said, like, I'm the same. Is like, I think it's weird if you're still up at like midnight on a Tuesday. So yeah, I know what you mean though. So I think it's weird though if you're like midweek, if you're like up at like.
Yeah, I agree. We all get
2
up
in the morning,
relatively early, but still, I feel like my dad, everyone else's dad, growing up, it definitely would have been different.
Right, I've got one last question to ask you, and then we'll end this poddy. So, goals moving forward. We've kind of gone through your coaching business. Obviously, you're building a bit of an online brand at the moment with the coaching experience. You've gone through your ultra marathon. You've gone through your jiu-jitsu phase, bodybuilding phase. What's the kind of goals moving forward? What do you want to hope to achieve in the next 18 months?
That's a great question. I think Bianca asked me this 2 days ago, and it's really hard to nail, especially with, I think, what we do is for work. It's kind of like we could do everything, but we also do nothing. So it's like it's hard to know what 5 years is going to look like. But yeah, obviously, want to keep growing online. I don't think I want to aim to just wrap up face to face. Like I like face to face, but yeah, definitely move more online, grow the online presence a little bit more. From a training standpoint, definitely get bigger. Potentially compete at the end of next year, maybe
25.
Yeah, or
What
2026.
would that be in men's physique? Is that the board short one?
I don't know.
I couldn't see you in the little bikini, in the little speedos.
No, yeah, men's physique sounds good to me. I don't really know though. So I like my quads, so I don't want to hide them.
Yeah.
That's kind of the main things I've been thinking about. Yeah.
Love it, mate.
Yourself?
Same. I've got some training goals. I've got some jiu-jitsu goals. I've got some business goals.
I'd love to get back into jiu-jitsu.
You need to get
just
back
quietly.
into jiu-jitsu. You need to stop being a pussy and come back.
Yeah.
I'd like, for me personally, blue belt in the next year. I want to hit north of 220 dead, north of 120 bench, keep my sub 6 minute mile consistent. I just think I love being able to run, and then keep growing the business. I want to do a bunch more episodes of the podcast. I love this kind of shit.
Yeah, this is fun.
I love this kind of shit.
I've had a great time. I want to keep going.
No, me too. All right, brother. I think we're going to call it there. Thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate it. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's an honour.
Absolute pleasure. Never a chore. And hopefully more than 3 people will see this.
I can get grandma on board.
There we go.
I'll be 4.
There we go.
Beautiful. Done.
See you soon,
Record.
brother.